Good morning, everyone. For those of you who I have not met through Library World or through this marketing forum, I am Emmy and I am one of the co-managers of the marketing forum this year. The other manager is Chris Frankoziak, who's at Lincolnwood, and I actually don't think he is on here yet. But he will likely be joining us as well. Let me see if he is on here. He's not yet. But because we do have a small group, it might be nice to treat this a little more like some of the in-person roundtables that we have previously done. And it's okay if you want to keep your camera off and your mic off and not introduce yourself. But because we do seem to be, let's see, how many people do we have? A small group. It might be nice to just say hi if you would like to. I might encourage the two of you of your camera on to say hi, but you also don't have to if you don't want to.
All right, I'll go. Hi, I'm Heather Brown. I'm with Glenview Public Library. So I just started here back in October, so I'm new to the library world.
Awesome. Where did you come from? Were you somewhere?
I was living in Virginia, working at a garden center out there.
So a big change. And
Very
you guys just updated your website and your brand in like the last year. Yes.
Yes,
We've
just did all that. So
cool.
Okay. I'm Lisa Lockhart with the Rock Island Public Library. I'm the marketing and communications person here. We're a department of one. And we have been up to a lot of things this year already. We have initiated Fine Free. We opened a new branch starting February 8th, which is in conjunction with the local YMCA. So we're one of 3 combined library YMCA locations in the United States. And we just created a new volunteer group. So we have nothing going
on. Fun. Hi, Chris.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I couldn't find the Zoom link.
I'm sorry. I just saw your email and was just sending it to you, and then I saw you hop on.
All good.
Yeah. So Chris is the co-manager of the marketing forum group with me. We have a pretty small group today. So I suggested we treat it sort of like the in-person roundtables, and we were just doing introductions for those who are willing to hop on and introduce themselves, whether it's with their camera on or off. I kind of introduced you already, Chris, but you can also introduce yourself.
Hold on one second. I'm changing my name. Actually, I'm going to do something else.
That's fine. While Chris is doing that, is there anyone else who'd like to hop on and say hi?
I'll introduce myself. My name is Nancy McKay, and I'm from the Byron Library. I am the head of teen services, but I also handle all the social media for the entire library. And awesome. We are doing a big renovation in the back of our library. I'm getting a new teen department. We're getting a new maker space. We're getting some classrooms and study rooms. And hopefully it will all be ready by the time summer reading begins. Fingers crossed.
Very nice. Okay, well then I will go ahead and go again. Chris, I'm the deputy director over here at Lincolnwood. And I won't say anything more because I'm sure Emmy already said enough, but I have Kelly with me too, who is our head of marketing here.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kelly, head of marketing here.
She's just across the table from me, so yeah. She won't be on camera much, but I will flip us around if she wants to talk or do anything like that.
Anybody else who wants to jump on and say hi? Otherwise, we can kind of kick off summer reading. But if you are willing to say hi and you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on at your library, and also something I should have asked before, where you are at in your summer reading planning process is probably a good question to get us started.
I can introduce myself. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beth. You can go.
Okay, Beth Smilak, Jerseyville Public Library. I'm the social media marketing communications person, and we have just scheduled our meeting to talk about summer reading. So we're way in the early stages.
And my name is Amber Hayes. I'm the communications coordinator over at Skokie Library. So I mostly do our social media and email marketing. Summer reading, I'm not a part of those conversations, but I believe it's coming along eventually.
This is Lisa again with Rock Island Public. We have started the process. We have we have a programming group that meets once a month, and then we have a little separate task force for summer reading, and I'm on that task force. So we're using the Find Your Voice theme. We have ordered T-shirts and some of the materials from iRead. We have started our kickoff planning, which is May 31st, in conjunction with the local botanical center. We tried that last year and it was really popular. And I'm starting to look at what do we do for a marketing specialty item to kind of use as a registration item. And I've started looking into that. It's honestly, last year's theme was so wonderful and so easy to work with. I am trying to get my arms around this theme still. And then we use Beanstack here, and the structure of our program will be very similar to the structure of our program last year. So, which was a mixture of reading by minutes and activities. And so we started that kind of going too.
So do you use you're using the theme and also the graphics? So or do you create your own graphics?
Generally, we try to use as many of the graphics that are in the kit as possible, primarily from a time saving and a staff resource. We don't have, again, I'm a department of one and I do everything that's marketing and communications oriented. So we try to use as many of the existing graphics as we can. I know some libraries kind of go off and do their own, and I wish we could do that, but it's not feasible.
Lisa, what was last year's topic? Can you just remind us?
Last year's theme was the camping theme.
That's right.
Read,
okay, thank you.
yeah, read Beyond the Beaten Path.
And we just had a lot of fun with that. We had patches that we did, and I produced lanyards, and we used the brag tags, and we did Camp Wannabe reading in the middle of the summer with a lot of outdoor events and things. We just had so much fun with it. It was such an easy theme to work with. We just loved it. And I tried to float the idea of reusing it, and I got shot down. But
I don't, and this is kind of going off on a tangent, but I don't know if I fully understand the need to have a different theme for summer reading every year. I feel like that's a little bit more so for the librarians than it is for the community. I think people see summer reading program and they say, oh, it's the summer reading program. Not, it's the summer reading program. I'm going to find my own voice, or I'm going to go camping, or I'm going to do something else. And so because there was, I think it was the theme of reading takes you everywhere. And that was another one that was pretty easy to do. And we had a really nice identity package and branding package surrounding that entire thing. And I was really hoping to just have every summer reading after that be Reading Takes You Everywhere, because we had a little animated video, we had a great t-shirt, we had all of these different things. And again, kind of got shot down on that too here of we need a different theme. We need a this, that, and the other. And I never really prescribed to that myself, but I'll step off my soapbox for a minute.
That was actually a question that I had, and I would love for everyone to weigh in on that. Like, what theme are you using, and are you using a theme? I'm trying to push really hard here for next year to also move in that slightly more generic direction of repeating summer reading, or even if we use a theme that most of the graphics would still say summer reading, and that themed logo would be like a very tiny like round badge that just said like Find Your Voice. And then if librarians want to do programming based around that, they are welcome to, because it exists, but it isn't like the sole focus of our promotional materials package. I have no idea if I will win this battle. So next year, when I'm back on here, I'll let you know. But I would be curious to hear if there is anybody on at this roundtable that has managed to successfully push for a generic, is using one, and thinks there are issues with it, or if everyone is doing a theme.
We tried pushing for a generic one. It would be just Rock Island Reads or something like that, and it didn't get through. And honestly, you know, there are some people who do summer reading no matter what, but there are others who kind of respond to the images in that theme. So I don't claim to have the answer on that. I'm interested in what everybody else has to say.
I know we've done the theme every year, and I don't know if it's just because we've always done that, and so we don't want to change, but I think sometimes it does help to have a different theme because it sort of freshens up your, ideas, and we get all of our staff involved and we get really good, fun ideas. And I think it just makes it not be the same rote thing every year. But I, again, am having trouble with this theme as well. We're all sitting around going, how do we decorate for that?
So with our summer reading last year with the rebranding with Glenview, this is before I was here, they made a program. Our summer reading is now called Summer at GPL. And while so we have a generic typeface that we're using from here on out for our summer reading program. But
when she wrote, it said "you" to everyone, and I was like, I didn't write that. I'm very.
Well, maybe it's.
Christy, you're not needed.
So this year we're still going to be calling it Summer at GPL, but next week is when we actually have a meeting with programmers and other departments to figure out what the visual identity will be. But the logo will pretty much be treated the same as it was last year, but it may change in color, and the theme itself may kind of change. So this way it still kind of has flexibility of allowing changes in themes, but having like a consistent look within it.
Yeah, like that's the direction I would love for us to head to. I'm Googling right now your summer reading logo from last year to see what that looks like. One of the things that's tricky for us is that our newsletter always gets an ad, and that means like we need the full logo description, sort of the general direction by now. Like our deadline is the 8th of March. And it's really hard to drop a full theme in there, which is why I would like to just go with summer reading and then maybe some little thing that indicates there's some shift in it. Because that would give us more time to work on the graphics. Because, like just yesterday, youth services was like, we want to work a duck in, which we now have like literally 1 week to try to do.
Whew.
This is somewhat off topic, but Beanstack came out with their theme for winter, and honestly, we were all not impressed. So we created our own winter reading theme in Beanstack. We had it goes back to our 150th anniversary, which is another thing we got going on this year. And we created our own buttons, own badges in Beanstack, and it was fairly simple to do. And I think our probably results are as good or even better maybe than using the Beanstack winter reading theme. So it is possible. I just don't have a lot of time to go out and create separate social media, separate art for summer, and it's just easy to use the kit, honestly.
Yeah, I think what would be kind of the best case scenario for me moving forward, and Tamara, maybe this is something that you could help connect our group with, but if there's any way that iRead could work with the marketing forum to help develop some of the artwork or ideas or anything like that. I mean, I've been doing library marketing now for what, 8 years and 7 years, whatever it is. It's the same discussion every year where iRead is kind of lacking in one way or another as far as the design goes or the theme goes, and marketers are the ones who are most frustrated about it because we're the ones tasked with creating the message, creating the identity, making it work for our library and all of that stuff. And so I'm not entirely sure how iRead is set up. I have no idea. So I'm kind of going into this blind, and maybe I'm overstepping, but it would be nice, I think, if the marketing forum or somebody could be brought into that discussion to say, yes, this is a good idea. We can make a logo look like this, or we have an idea about this will work. Because the camping one was a great example of something that is super duper successful because it's so easy to work with. Find your voice, less so. And the artwork has always been kind of up and down in my personal opinion, my personal design aesthetic. And so I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be mean and say that nobody's doing a good job, because that's not what I'm trying to say. But if there's any way that marketers could be looped in or a part of it, or if this could be a forum project to help out with, that might be a good direction for this particular group in the future to help iRead, especially with the new person stepping in to help take a little bit of that burden off of her as well.
Is anybody not doing the iRead's theme this year? I know there are other themes in that occasionally libraries will create their own when they have the time and energy, which is a whole nother thing.
Skokie usually does not do the iRead.
Okay. Oh yeah, you've done some really great like community specific. Last year, I think
Last year
I
was
really
reading.
liked. Yes, and was your you did a year where it was really community focused and there was a great little map.
I think that was 2020 in your neighborhood
Okay.
because of COVID.
Yes, in the neighborhood. Yes,
Mhm.
I personally really liked that, and it felt like really specific to your community, which is I think a really nice thing to be able to do if you have the resources, right? Because iRead and the collaborative summer library program are obviously trying to serve a huge number of people, whether in the state of Illinois or in any state. And it is nice when you can create your own and really customize it to your community. I thought that was a really awesome one that Skokie did. So, and you don't know your theme, right, Amber, because you're sort of on the outside of summer reading planning.
And we do have a graphic designer. Last I talked to them, they were still figuring out the imagery to it. So I think we're getting closer and closer, but we're not quite there yet.
So does anybody here have their logo all done? And also, what if you do have a newsletter, do you typically put something in your May, June newsletter, or do you not? I'm kind of curious because we seem to be the only library that is like under this really tight deadline to have something done basically now, which has created lots of issues for us.
I don't think you're alone, Emmy. I've given my programmers a deadline of, I think, March 7th or March 8th to get everything done and figured out. And, you know, that goes back to then those deadlines for the newsletter and for other promotions. So you know, it seems like the date gets earlier every year because we get invited to all of these school and outreach things in March and April. And our last opportunity to reach those kids is like early May. So yeah, yeah, I think it's a pretty common problem.
We are mercifully redoing what we did last year. We're having the same kickoff and doing a music theme because we weren't crazy about the ILA theme. And we did this last year. We did this kickoff called Live on the Lawn, and we had 3 live bands, and we gave away, we partnered with Triple Scooped Ice Cream, which is a little local shop, and gave away 200. They sold us at a marked down price 200 servings of ice cream. So the first 200 people got that free, and then people still came. We ended up having about 450 people, and it was like an afternoon on the lawn. It rained a little bit for a split second, so we probably would have had, if better weather, we would have had a better turnout, but we did get more signups as a result of that, and even got some people signing up for library cards that probably wouldn't have come in otherwise. But the best part about it is, because you'll notice the desk behind me is empty because my graphic designer has taken a full-time position at a corporate job. So yesterday was her last day. So we have this, when the new person starts, they can just update it. And this was the postcard that we mailed out in May. But yeah, to answer your question, we did in our spring newsletter, which just came out this week, we put a save the date using that same graphic from last year on the back page. So we got the word out, thank God, before the person left. So if you know anyone that's looking for a graphic designer job, we're hiring at Park Ridge.
So that card is for the Live on the Lawn, but up at the top, is there like basically your summer reading logo that just says like summer reading club?
And so we've actually been using this summer reading club logo. This is the 3rd year we're using it because we're just trying to establish like an identity for the club itself. And we do the same for our winter reading club. And we're trying to get away from having like a tagline and just having like a general like artistic theme to it, so that we aren't limited, and then we don't have to worry about people remembering a tagline that doesn't really mean anything anyway. So yeah, it promotes, it's it's billed as the Summer Reading Club Kickoff. Live on the Lawn is the name of the event.
Oh, so at Lincolnwood Library, this is my first summer here doing summer reading, and we've actually already had 2 meetings about summer reading. And so I already have like an initial logo idea, but the thing that was kind of weird is that, or unusual for me, is that they're using the theme, the I Read theme, but they're not doing any programming around the theme. So it's just sort of there for, I'm not sure why. But they didn't really want to go with like a generic, like just a generic summer reading theme. But the one thing I don't know if I'll be able to show you. So this is this is on my iPad. I don't know if you can see. So it's like, it's also backwards, but it's like hand lettering and sort of like a fun, I don't know. That's just an initial concept that we're kind of playing with, but we're also not going to say summer reading on it. Like it's just going to say find your voice, and then it's going to say at Lincolnwood Library. So in theory, it's something that could be worn, like t-shirts and stuff could be worn all year round without being summer reading specific, which is also kind of nice because, you know, right now we're in sort of like a strange period with our board and everything. So it's kind of like, you know, little subversive, you know, messaging going on, but that's what we're doing. So.
I'm trying to unmute. I'm pushing all these buttons, so I'm not unmuting.
Yep.
I like your graphic. That was cool.
Thank you.
I like that you are leaving off summer reading as well. Like it's sort of the reverse concept. Like we were trying to think about like I was about, can it just say summer reading? But I really like that idea of like find your voice at the Lincolnwood Library, because it like, yes, it makes the t-shirts and the graphics wearable and reusable, and just it rings a little more true. Like you're not finding your voice during the summer. It's like an ongoing.
Well, that's actually when I started here. That was something that, you know, Chris and they had started before me, is that like, I'm actually, this is the t-shirt from last summer, and it's just sort of like a picture of the library in the woods, and it doesn't say summer reading anywhere on it. It just says Lincolnwood Library, and staff wear them all the time. Like it's just become like a regular staff shirt. And so hopefully that will sort of continue, where it doesn't say summer reading, but it will, you know, be something that can be worn all year round.
All right, I'll show, since I can't find a link and Zoom isn't letting me upload files, but this is pretty much like our type treatment of how we're going to be doing summer at GPL. And for our newsletter, The Spark, for summer reading, we do a full 2-page spread focused on it. And so in March, I'll be working on the branding for summer at GPL for this year. And then at the end of March is when I'll begin production on our summer Spark. And that will end up going out to everyone towards mid to end May.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Super.
I also noticed, I think the chat says that, like I sent you that chat. Sorry, I'm realizing I don't think it's clear when I'm chatting people that it's actually me.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Cindy from Coal City Public Library District. And this year we're doing our own theme for the summer reading, Wild About Reading. And we just ordered stock images to be able to do our reading logo and what we want to do for our theme.
What kind of a direction are you going with the wild read that theme?
Well, actually, we're going to be doing all types of animals. So we'll be doing, you know, like wild animals, jungle, farm, and we're even going to include dinosaurs.
That's awesome.
I don't want to cut anybody off, but to circle back to t-shirts, which Kelly, you are wearing. Question for you. Does that t-shirt have the Lincolnwood Library logo on it? I couldn't tell. Or is it without?
No,
Okay.
it just says, here, sorry. It just says Lincolnwood Library, like right
Okay.
here. And
Got
then
it.
it has the picture, like that's it. There's nothing on the back. It's just pretty simple.
Else does t-shirts. This is going to be our first year at Mount Prospect doing them for children. Ours are a little complicated because they want the library logo, and the foundation, who is paying for the shirts, is insisting that their logo must also be on there. Who else is doing shirts? And we are doing them as a registration prize, which is very different than any other t-shirts I have done.
Yeah, so Lincolnwood, that was something that I guess they did last year, is that they gave the shirts away as a registration prize. And when I worked at Des Plaines, it was always given as a final prize, a finishing prize. And so we're sort of having a debate about it, because the number of shirts that they want to give away is actually, this year actually exceeds our budget. And I'm trying to talk to them about how do we scale that back. And then also, once you give that shirt away, what's the incentive? You know, because that's sort of like the big prize. Like, so what's the incentive to kind of come back from, you know, and finish? So I don't know how everybody else handles that.
I will say, like at Skokie, we had this issue too of like, there were years where it was the prize, which you got the N, which is normal, but they kind of switched up to be a registration thing. And that was great for marketing for people who like on the back of the shirt. But we went back to making it our prize because last year, you know, we didn't have the volunteers we usually had and whatnot. So we made registration like on like, they essentially registered when they got their first prize, the book. So there wasn't a check-in table ever at the beginning. So we had to make the prize at the end because we didn't have any information until the halfway point of 25 books read, which was pretty chill.
Did you notice a change in your completion numbers? And you may not know this off the top of your head when you switched from the t-shirts at the beginning to the t-shirts at the end, or vice versa?
It was hard because we were, you know, post-COVID, quote unquote. So we couldn't really compare it to what activity was like before times, but it was still a pretty good number of completionists.
Now, for those of you that do it as a registration prize, is it for only residents in your community? Or, because see, we're right on the border of Chicago, so we have a lot of Chicago people that sign up, and then they all show up and want shirts as well. And so do you restrict it to residents only? Or, I mean, that's what I would like to do.
That's a really good question that has not come up here, and I have asked it a few times and not gotten an answer about how we handle summer reading in general.
Because we have tons of people that come and register and take bags, and then we never see those people again. So I don't know, that would be costly. I search for them all.
We're in the Quad Cities. And so our borders butt up right against each other. And of course, you know, with the consortial aspect, anybody with a Moline card can use Rock Island and et cetera, et cetera. So we've been very deliberate about being very inclusive with all of our programming, that we want you to be involved. We don't care where you're from. So I can't see that flying in our particular area, because people are so used to being able to go from library to library and program to program. And honestly, we have families that do more than one program in the summer. And if our goal is to encourage reading and literacy, I kind of think that's the point. But honestly, that I understand though, when you're working with t-shirts and tax money, that's a separate issue.
Yeah, I think that's my concern. I mean, normally, and we have a lot of you know, Chicago and Skokie residents that use the library, but I do worry about the optics of, you know, spending a lot of money on non-Lincolnwood residents, and you know, what that would be like. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, especially when you're talking about handing out t-shirts at the beginning of the program, which we all know registration numbers are always higher. I don't think anybody ever has even probably a 90% completion rate. So, yeah. Yeah, so t-shirts are interesting for
We
those of
do
us who
get-
offer them.
We do get people asking about whether they can buy the shirts from year to year, you know, depending again on the theme and the attractiveness of the t-shirt and the attractiveness of the theme. But we've had people say, how can I get that shirt? We can't do it with, of course, the registered art, but we're thinking about trying to do some kind of summer reading shirt through our short run t-shirt store, where people again are choosing to buy the shirt on their own. We did that with our 150th anniversary shirt and got a lot of orders. And you know, it's pride in your library, pride in your community. So we may do that again this summer, but I cannot even begin to visualize the headaches with ordering t-shirts for a registration prize. I applaud those of you who are doing it, but I wouldn't personally want to tackle that.
Kelly, people are definitely going to want that shirt.
Yeah,
Think you
I
will
don't
find
know.
yourself in that.
I mean, even as a halfway prize, I mean, we have hundreds of people that come to the kickoff, and then, you know, half of them disappear, and it's like, you know, but then when you talk to some of the staff, they're like, oh, but it's great marketing. Well, it's not great if they never come back to the library, you know, like what's,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a toss up, because it's nice to see it out in the community, but it's also, you know, you want, you know, people to actually use the library. So
We did a hat last year as a completion prize for adults. So all cap. And I think we had some left over. I mean, because, you know, again, people are like, oh, I don't wear caps, I don't wear hats. But that was our, again, going with a theme, going with something different, something functional, getting outdoors. It just seemed to work. And they're also not sized.
Very true. I have a couple different examples that we gave out last year too. We always do a staff summer reading program too, to sort of as like a little staff appreciation thing. And so it was also an incentive prize too. Like if we got X amount of signups by a certain date, staff got this. If we exceeded that, staff got something else. And the one good thing is a Bluetooth speaker with our little tiny logo on the top. That's just the printable size of it, but it's a decent, you know, Bluetooth speaker that we had. And then for the public, we had this as well as like a milestone step. It's a pizza cutter bottle opener. So super functional. You'll always see it in your kitchen drawer. And then we gave a Bluetooth speaker out to the public as a milestone prize as well. This is on our adult side of the summer reading program. I have like one thing from the kids side, but this is another Bluetooth speaker, but it's got our logo just a little bit bigger on the front of it. And it's still good quality, but just less expensive for us to have to buy in bulk. And then our most popular kids prize was this ink color changing pen. So it's got our logo on there, if you can see that, but as you write with it, the color changes as it goes up the pen. Eventually, like right around here, it turns into a nice shade of brown for a really long time. But then once you get past that, it's back to the fun stuff. And then this isn't for our summer reading program, but for our winter reading program, which we have called Lincolnwood Reads. This year we gave out these hats. And we use this logo on a lot of different stuff in a lot of different iterations. So this just kind of turns out to be kind of a nice thing. And this was pretty cheap to get done as well. But then we have a ton of these left over, so we'll be able to recycle them for whatever we need to. If we give away something at a program or a survey incentive or something like that, but we always get extras for that purpose too. That's all I grabbed on my way over though.
My eyes are like big. Do you guys have like a huge budget for this, or do you have like your friends group help you with that, or where do you pay for these things?
Yeah, well, we're very fortunate to have a healthy budget here right now. For our summer reading prizes, I think we have something like 4,000 budgeted for t-shirts alone. For prizes, it's a couple thousand as well and that includes our Lincolnwood Reads program. And for promotional items, like just to have library promotional items, pens, USB drives, that kind of stuff, I think it's 3,000 or 4,000 as well for that. Yeah, we're very fortunate to have that kind of money. Yes.
Pizza cutter bottle opener wasn't super expensive out of all of those. Like, so it's nice to see the mix of things, like not just t-shirts and hats. And, that looks really awesome. And I hope we can get one of those as a inexpensive prize for a different upcoming thing we have. So question for everyone who does branded giveaways, which I assume everybody does some version of it. Chris, it looks like yours largely did not use any type of logo specific to the reading program with the exception of Lincolnwood Reads. Is that true for most people? Like, we get a lot of requests though from staff to use that logo. And I was also at Des Plaines where we frequently used the specific summer reading logo on all of our giveaways. How are other libraries handling that? Is it your library logo or the specific logo for the program?
I use library branding. Again, if we have extras left over, we're going to use them either as prizes in another program, or we're going to use them as giveaways. So no, I never use the specific iRead or CSLP branding on them. I mean, they might follow along, like for Color Your World, we used a kind of a metal bottle as our completion prize for adults. And it had the rainbow colors on it. So it kind of complemented the theme, but it didn't have the theme.
We try to keep anything that's summer reading club specific, a lower budget, like bookmarks or vinyl, like die cut stickers. Those seem to go over really well with our younger patrons. And then this is the blanket, like it looks like a suitcase. It's a picnic blanket, like a flannel, that just has our logo, our library logo on it. And that way we figured we could use it in years to come. So we ordered quite a few, but we give them away as a drawing, like in a raffle, whatever.
We gave those kind of blankets away too last year because it fits so nicely with the camping theme, because they're flannel on the top, but they're lined on the bottom. So they're perfect for outside.
Our only swag item was the shirts last year, plus the book for a halfway point. And so this was our theme with our logo on the bottom, with like just our library name, and
I
then
love
just
those
a little on the bottom if you can see it.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Those are
Truly.
great.
Yeah, and it's great, year round. Always love to wear. Staff love it, so I'm looking forward to this year's.
I like that it didn't just say one read. I feel like that is kind of, it's almost nostalgic at this point, like the read posters, but I love the repeated thing. That was really cool. I wanted one.
Yeah, we were inspired that people just, they missed a library and they just want to read. So we're like, let's embrace that.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if we're like the only ones, but we buy the stuff that comes with the iRead. I think probably because it's the most economical for us. So that's what we always just buy the prizes and stuff from them.
At Coal City this year, we are doing a beach towel. Last year we did a cooler, which actually holds like 20 cans of pop in it. And before that, we've done like refrigerated bags like you use in your trunk for groceries that you get. But to get on the subject you were talking about before, in order like for just this winter read that we did, to get more people to complete, we went through the Beanstack app to see who hadn't completed it that had registered, and sent out emails to all those people to remind them, hey, you got another week to get your, sheets in, or get your Beanstack app, reading logged and activities logged. And out of those, I think 30% more completed it, as well as some others. So.
Did you take those email addresses and drop them into your normal e-newsletter service, or is that a feature through Beanstack that I'm unaware of?
No, I used it and dropped it into our constant contact and sent an e-newsletter out to all of those individuals, including the reading logo that we had going on. So.
Okay.
For years, Chris, I've been complaining to Beanstack about that to me, there should be a very simple way to email through Beanstack. They collect the email. Again, at completion, last year we had an issue. They had to put they earned a digital ticket for each badge they completed, and they had to put that into a prize bucket, and we had all these prize pictures. And we had a large number of people at the end of the program who hadn't distributed their tickets at all. And they kind of thought, I think we'd do it. It was kind of a miscommunication. So I ended up having to email all those people and say, hey, you've got unused tickets. And we had to pull them all from Beanstack, pull them all into a separate email. It was ridiculous. And I also think you should be able to survey through Beanstack, but I've been doing that for years and
Yeah,
haven't
because
gotten anywhere.
no, it totally makes sense because I think the unique qualifier, if I remember right from the Beanstack pitch, is everybody's email address. So I don't think you can have a Beanstack account without having an email address. So it does kind of make sense that hopefully that's on their list of enhancements to do in the future, the near future, hopefully.
Do any of you use Read Squared? They're like a competitor to Beanstack. We got rid of Beanstack and went to Read Squared, which we thought was much easier. But now we've gotten rid of both of them. We're just not doing it digitally because not that many people did it. So
Yeah.
Do the people who use Beanstack or Read Squared, you obviously just answered this question, Beth, usually get a good turnout, or do, like, I'm sure it varies between youth, adult, teen, but that's something that our library has gone back and forth with. We did not do our winter reading program this year through Beanstack. We will do summer. But I've heard like a lot of mixed things about the usage of Beanstack.
Well, what we've offered at Coal City to our people, because a lot of our seniors do not want to put an app on their phone or use an app, is we do a paper copy and then they just hand it in and then we input it for them. But then when people are using the Beanstack, one couple likes to use it because it tells them all the books they've read and they can keep track of it.
Yeah.
We also offer both paper options because certain people want that. And then our staff enter that information. So we still use Beanstack for all the tallying and benchmarking, but offer the paper.
That's what we do as well, Evelyn. It just seems to work. It serves that need of the people who absolutely refuse to do anything electronic, and it gives us the stats that we need, and it's an easy way to pull for drawings.
I think people start seeing the benefit the following year after they sign up, because they'll come up, we're ready to sign up. Well, all you have to do is hit this one button, and then the idea that they've both themselves and the child, and hopefully it's a way to get, I think it has been a way to get more adults involved. It certainly has gotten more children's staff involved in signing up adults. So we have, it's growing. I think it's still growing.
Yep.
As we're winding down a little bit with the last 15 minutes, are there other topics that people are like definitely want us to be covered in this roundtable? Because we can talk about anything. Lisa, I know you mentioned you were looking for some type of promotional thing, but I think we covered that pretty well. I have the pizza cutter from 4 Imprint. Is that where you ordered from, Chris?
Yeah.
Set
Yeah.
aside.
They're probably, I know when I was at Lombard is where I first came across these, and I think my former boss Sue was the one who brought them to my attention even, but and we were not buying from 4 Imprint, so it's a pretty standard promotional item piece. Yeah. And quite frankly, the only reason I really wanted to do it here in Lincolnwood is because my one from Helen Plum finally broke, because I needed a new one. So I was like, all right, well, I liked it and it lasted for about 5 years. So let's do it again here in Lincolnwood and see what happens. So
that's just so selfish.
Which is great.
So selfish.
I mean, that's kind of the good thing about these kind of promotional items is I would never spend money on something that I wouldn't want to use or wear or have in my possession myself. And that's really the first test, because I've said it before in this group and with other groups too, but even if you don't have a marketing background, everybody kind of has a marketing background because we're all consumers. We know what grabs our attention. We know what we use. We know what we like. We know what we are gravitating toward. And so it's the same thing for promotional items. If I wouldn't use it, if I wouldn't want to have it in my home, I wouldn't want to give it to anybody else to have either.
I don't know which direction we're gonna go in yet. I did find some fans online. I was kind of thinking of the, hey, I'm a fan of my library kind of thing, because our kickoff is outdoors. But I haven't yet decided. They also make some very cool LED bracelets that flash in terms of response to sound, and I might price those. Again, I try to make anything I buy that's a branded imprint for the kickoff. We do an all ages program here, so I want to do something that has some more all ages appeal, which it can be difficult, but who knows? I'll update you later what I come up with.
The fan is a good idea too, if anybody's out there having to do a parade, whether it's Memorial Day, 4th of July, or whatever. Because the fan can be used at the summer reading kickoff party, but it sure as hell can be used in a parade that's really hot and sticky. Yeah.
I'm researching some options for our kickoff giveaway, Lisa, like you just reminded me, because our theme is be creative, using, BEE and a cute little bee. And so I've been looking at pollinator seed packets, and it's the beginning of summer, so it feels like that would be the right thing. And some staff got excited by my idea, but there's some really cool ones that look sort of like a matchbook, like, and then inside is like a seed packet. Or have any of you tried these? Like, they're in a shape like a little heart or a star, and you plant that in the ground. It's made of a material that those seemed fun for themed items that do not have a size. Lisa, I'm with you on that. It has to work for all ages, sort of.
We've done the seed shapes before. I mean, I have no idea. I never planted my own, and so I don't know what happened after, but they were popular. People seem to really like them. I think we're doing one again for some type of garden thing that's coming up, because they were popular. Amber, can I ask you a really quick question? T-shirts, Skokie, you do them for everybody, right? It is all ages, or is that just your youth?
It's all ages.
That's what I thought.
So we give the staff at the beginning of summer so that they wear it all summer and kind of incentivize folks to wear them. And then we have them from youth to, I think, XXL sizes.
And how do you determine how many you need of each size?
Yeah, that was hard. But it was a big guesstimate my manager did, but we managed to come out pretty good. I think we ordered just over 1,000 or so, because we didn't know what it would look like after COVID. People come back to the library and wanted to engage that way. But so we definitely have some more that can be given away. The branding itself is not specific to summer or anything, so we can use that for anything in the future, but we still have some boxes.
That's fun.
So,
they read to get that as a prize. Is that a prize?
That read. That was not your summer reading theme last year.
It was the theme.
It was. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
But you can use it whenever. But got it. Makes sense.
I just don't know where I'd store all those t-shirts.
And offices and corners.
Yeah. That's a whole thing. But
yeah.
The beautiful shirts, I'd love to have one. I might have to, I don't know. Aaron Yang you and sign up for your program or something.
Yeah, and I wonder, I'll let you know what this year's looks like when I get to see it too.
I don't know, someone mentioned a character and it made me think of something. How many of you actually have like a mascot? Like I'm always, every year this mascot question comes up and our children's department picks a mascot and it's different every year. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with the theme. Sometimes it does. Often it doesn't. So, it might be like a unicorn and it's not a, it's like a sports theme. Like why are we using a unicorn? So we're getting this was previous, like before I came here, but I'm trying to get away from the mascot or not, promote it as much, and they're okay with that. But it is a big hit with the kids that come into the department. But I'm just curious, like show of hands, whatever. Does anyone else have a mascot issue?
Well, I mentioned a duck earlier. That was a last minute addition. And that's because youth decided they wanted a duck to be the mascot because there's a duck bench in the library. I am not a huge fan. of mascots, and I do not understand a mascot that changes every year
Yeah.
because
No.
it feels like it defeats the purpose of a
you.
mascot. But
Yeah. Or like, maybe let's not call it a mascot. Like, let's call it.
whatever, you
not
just
give
have
it
a summer
title.
reading
Looks like
character,
it's a job title.
apparently.
So here at
Yeah, and they-
Glenview, oh, you can go.
No, go ahead.
All right, I was gonna say here at Glenview, we actually do have a mascot. Its name is Lehigh, and we haven't really focused a whole lot of any branding directly to Lehigh, aside from a few youth programs that use like foxes for the artwork. But we have a whole on like mascot outfit and everything, and has someone who will dress up as Lehigh so we can go take some photos or do some videos. And our social media actually increases a bit when we have like photos and videos of our mascot Lehigh. And during things like parades and then like some programs, Lehigh may make an appearance as well. So.
And I gathered that you have had Lehigh a while. What is it? Is it a fox?
Fox.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's actually like up here in my office. But Lehigh came around last year, Olivia? I think it was last year or early last year, the year before, when we did our rebranding is when we got our mascot Lehigh. So try to use them whenever we can.
Yeah, I lobbied for a fox mascot because I wanted it to come out to the Memorial Day parade for us, and then to keep it for like a number of years after, and like a person in a costume, like a person-sized mascot. But
yes,
the mascot they use is just a stuffed animal.
I believe we went through like a whole community vote on what the mascot would be as well.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yes, because there's an option between an owl, a squirrel, and a fox.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I feel like this is a scene of the Parks and Rec. Like let's have a community meeting about the library's mascot. That's wonderful.
I know New York.
You did?
A little bit. Whiskas.
Oh yeah, we had a fish, a really old fish.
A catfish.
Yeah.
That was a real fish though, right? Like in
He was
your
a real
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, he was like 26, 27 years old
Yeah.
that he's lived here, and then he just passed away recently.
Yeah, he's
I was going to say that fish was there when I worked there like 18 years ago.
Not anymore.
So it's okay. I do know like the New York Public Library has, a lion mascot that goes everywhere.
Yeah.
And I have heard too that their engagement increases whenever that lion is out doing stuff or in videos or on their social media, which is just always like a good reminder that our personal preferences, I'm like, mascots are silly, do not always align with what children and other people like.
Well, we've already got a gentleman. We've got a gentleman here who always gets stuck in Clifford and all those guys. So I probably can't talk him into a mascot also.
I like it better like when it's tied to a book. I mean, we now own a Pete the Cat costume, which is fantastic. So I love it whenever Pete the Cat shows up, people are super excited about him being there. I think it's too hot to be in a parade though. Like how would you possibly do that?
We have our Pete the Cat, we have George, and what's the other one we have? We have a third one, and they are always in our parade in June.
Okay.
But they get to ride on something, but still it's pretty hot for them.
I mean, up until recently, we used those ones that the costume's free, you just pay the shipping. There's a service that you can do that. There's a huge long list of different costumes that you can rent, but you're just paying the cost of shipping from one location to the next. Maybe you've all done that. We've done a llama sleep, pajama party, which was really fun. And we've had other characters come, Frog and Toad, that kind of thing, which are fun. But for the summer, people got very excited about a bee. We have this bee theme, and I'm like, can we just stick with Pete the Cat? Like, there's no why have a different something that isn't a character for a book? Because the other one tells more of a story.
I did say that I do it.
We have our characters catalog, so if you're in our consortium, you can borrow it. FYI.
Okay, Lehigh's pretty cute.
Yeah, that's a good mascot. I like that.
So
I have
Evelyn, you were saying the B is this year, right? So you haven't done anything. It'll be interesting to see like what people's reaction. You'll have to report back.
I'm recommending against it, but that didn't necessarily, I mean, we'll see, right? Like why seek out a separate B unless you could have one made that's gonna like, was Lehigh, is it Lee or Lehigh? Lehigh, did you have that one made for your library or was that something you bought off the shelf?
We had it made for the library because Lehigh is officially the library mascot.
It's really cute. I think it turned out great.
Thanks. Always fun to take photos of Lehigh, so.
You have a mouse.
I've been wanting to grant interviews with Pete the Cat
Oh,
somehow. I don't know. I pitched that to a local, family events website. They were really excited about it. And then I found out we're actually having Eric Litwin, who is one of the originators of the Pete the Cat series. He's going to be here to do family concerts. But he and Pete the Cat have to be they can't be in this film together. They can't be because it's a franchise that's sort of now owned by a different author and illustrator team, right? So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. But something where Pete the Cat can talk about summer reading, maybe, or I don't know. It's a gimmicky thing. It sounds fun.
Do you ever get feedback from people like, well, but my kids don't like Pete the Cat. Do you have Curious George or like another character?
Well, it's still kind of new for us to have the same character repeating, but I've only heard positives so far. So
Do you actually let Pete, the person inside the costume, talk? Because we don't let our people talk. So if you have a conversation with them, how does that work?
well, no, I mean, it would be a staged, pre-filmed thing that they would be interviewing Pete the Cat.
Cool.
So in the moment, it doesn't work. She's got enough to manage with the head and the everything and, her handler there. Maybe sign language. Oh, I don't know. Holding up signs would work, maybe.
Jennifer, do your patrons complain when you have a book character about what book character?
Yeah, I am 99% sure that if we said we're going to have this particular character, we'd get like complaints from people like, what, my child doesn't like Pete the Cat. What about this?
I can't imagine
And that's
someone
probably
not
why
liking
we've
Pete
never
the
done
Cat.
it.
Okay. But it hasn't
Although
actually happened.
I appreciate the idea though. I would love it. Or just to have like multiple ones would be cool. Like in your parade, I'm gonna remember that when we do our Memorial Day parade.
When we have our parade, the kids are crazy over Pete the Cat. Yeah, they love him. And then they say monkey because they don't know who Curious George is.
Oh.
Elephant and Piggy was very popular when they visited.
Oh yeah, be cute.
I'm really interested in the shipping service for costumes, which I will also be looking into, although I will not be wearing a costume or having anyone in my department do it, but I will encourage other youth services.
Others are welcome to.
Yeah.
That's our biggest struggle here is getting someone to wear the Lehigh costume.
Even though it's new?
Yes, not a lot of people are a fan of wearing it. You have to have someone kind of guide you around because it's difficult to see. There's a lot of parts with the tail and each paw is its own piece. So we actually reached out to an official company that made the mascots for schools and colleges and everything and had them make Lehigh for us.
How much would you say he's out? Like 10 minutes to say hey or to pose for a picture, or is it longer stints as well?
Typically, I mean, the last time Lehigh was out was when we got some snow and it was maybe 30 to 45 minutes. And that was mostly just so we could take some photos and video for social media. But before then, there was another time right before we launched our website, my boss, Hillary, the director of communications, actually dressed up as Lehigh, and me and one of my other coworkers followed her around and we're taking photos all throughout the library and at the entrance and with signs, just so we kind of start building a photo archive of photos of Lehigh to use. And then I know that youth services will be using Lehigh, I think it's next month or April, because they're actually doing a Lehigh story time program.
That's an awesome
We've had
idea. Yeah, I don't think we've done a Pete the Cat story time.
I will
We've
say the
actually done a
parents-
lot of costumes with our Louis on the Lawn. So we did Hocus Pocus, and we had 3 of our staff dress up as the Sanderson sisters. And we've also had The Incredibles 2, and we got one of our people to, he wasn't a staff member, but someone we know who likes to get into costumes, be Mr. Incredible. He came, we had backdrops, they took pictures with them. He even handed out popcorn. We have done some other things in the past. We're planning to have princesses for Ralph Rex the Internet, because it has all these Disney princesses in it. So we're actually hiring some of the local dancers. And we even did Encanto and paid one of the students to come dress up as Mirabelle and sing the songs. It was kind of cool.
Well, y'all have me feeling bad because we have a mascot. His name is Max Reader Mouse. Unfortunately, we had the costume done locally, and people look at him and think it's a bear. But I don't know why. The ears aren't like a bear, but he is on our kids' library card. But honestly, he has not been out much since COVID. So y'all have me feeling bad. I need to get Max out there in public again. But it is a struggle to find people to wear it. And honestly, I'm thinking about 20 minutes in an outdoor event is about what you can expect, because it's so hot and it's this huge round mouse head. So yours looks much more wearable, Heather.
Does he ever carry a piece of cheese?
He should. He carries a book. And he has this little vest he wears. It has our logo on it. But yeah, I think we need to look at possibly either retiring Max and going with something that's much more doable, or using Max more. But we used to take him out to kickoffs. And the funny story about mascots is the first time we brought him out and introduced him, our branch manager wore the costume. Some little kid came up to her and punched her right in the stomach.
Oh my gosh.
Ow. So you got to be careful when you put people in mascot costumes that you maintain the zone of defense around the mascot.
All right.
On the zone of defense, yeah, on that note.
So just so everyone knows, we are planning to host our March event in Champaign. It'll actually, instead of the roundtable style, the plan is for it to be similar to when Simple Truth presented last month. Evelyn, we're very excited to head your way. I know that that's a long trip for many of us, although some of you on this roundtable might be closer. But we are excited, since this is the Illinois Marketing Association group. We really do want to extend our reach, and we're excited to visit. The topic and the presenters for that are still to be determined, but it's March 24th. So if you're in this area and willing to make the trip, we recommend you do. If you're closer to Champaign-Urbana, awesome. Please bookmark the date and join us there. There are any other quick summer reading things?
Love to see you all in person. That would be super fun. And I'll give you a backstage tour of the library, etc. So.
And what is that date, Abby?
And the theme?
The 24th of March. Honestly, we were hoping that we were going to talk about design, accessibility, website design, like general design, but we have not found a presenter on that topic. So we'll keep everyone posted. Yeah, so if anyone has a recommendation, especially somebody in the University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana area, send it our way.
I wonder if somebody from the Siebel Center, the Siebel Design Center, might be a good fit. I don't know. We can chat after.
Yeah,
perfect.
thank
Yeah,
you.
and Jordan passed on quite a few contacts. We just haven't heard back from anyone. So yeah,
It'll
but
be
either way,
no matter what too. So anybody who can't make the trip down, we'll still have a virtual component.
yes, absolutely. Great. Any other quick summer reading things? I'm looking forward to hearing how everyone's program goes. And all right, keep us posted on those t-shirts, Kelly. Great.
And
Thanks,
Amber's gonna
everyone.
send everybody the read poster t-shirt, right, Amber? Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, that's what I agreed to, right?
Alrighty.
Right.
We can
Take care.
rest.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Next month, okay.
Bye-bye.